Welcome to Cougar Conversations at halftime here of the Cougar football game on K105. And filling in for Sam Gormley, it is my honor to welcome Mr. Phillip Ashby to the Cougar Conversation. Mr. Ashby, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mark. Great to be here.
You were the first band director at Grayson County High School, and as we celebrate 50 classes of Grayson County High School and look back, you were 74 through what, 83, 84, something like that?
83, 84, exactly.
Well, it's an honor to converse with you. You know how much I respect and regard you. You go back to the inception of Grayson County High School, but you go back to Caneyville High School. I think my Aunt Donna, you had her in your bands at Caneyville.
Yes.
Was Caneyville your first job?
Yes. I really had already accepted the job in Owensboro, and Mr. Lawler called and asked me to come and interview. He said, "Have you gotten the job?" And I wrote, "No." And he said, "Great, then we want you to come and interview tomorrow." And I had already decided I was going to do the Owensboro job. So I all the way over there, I'm going, I don't know why I didn't say no. I'm not going to take this job. I'm not going to take this job. And of course, I did. After I interviewed, I came back and I had a roommate, college roommate at the time, and he asked how it went, and I said, "Well, I'm having trouble making a decision between Owensboro and Caneyville." And he said, "So which one is the better job?" And I said, "Owensboro, more established." And I mean, how much about finances? I said Owensboro, and I went through all of these, and they all came up Owensboro. And he looked at me and he said, "Take Caneyville." And I went, "Why would you say that?" And he said, "Well, everything points that logically to Owensboro, and you still have a hard time making that decision. That means you really want to do Caneyville." And I mean, those were some smart words. So yeah, I accepted it, and I had an absolutely great time there. We
That
were a great team. So
that was some advice that changed a lot of lives, changed yours,
changed
but changed a
changed
lot of
mine.
people's
Yes,
lives.
it changed mine for
Yeah.
sure.
As much of an institution, and I consider you an icon across the band landscape, but I think a lot of people maybe don't know about your history. We just know you as Mr. Ashby, the band director from Caneyville forward, but where were you born and raised?
I was born in Madisonville, Kentucky. Went to Madisonville. Back then it wasn't Madisonville North Hopkins, it was just Madisonville High School. I was in band, orchestra, and choir. And I graduated from there. I went to Murray 1 year as a music major and transferred to Western the second year. And I've lived in Bowling Green ever since. So all the time that I was teaching in Grayson County, I was driving back and forth from Bowling Green. Um, so that's pretty well a
What
history
led
in a
you
nutshell.
what led you to music education? Do you remember that moment where you said, this is what I want to pursue?
Absolutely, but it sounds a little crazy. It's absolutely true. My parents took us on Friday nights. We would go as kids. We would go to the drive-in. A thing of the past. Nobody knows what that is anymore. But anyway, we were watching one of the movies that happened to be on was Stars and Stripes Forever, which was John Philip Sousa. I was 5, and from that point on, I don't know, something about that movie. I look at it now and I think maybe it's a wonder it didn't make me want to be a Marine because that's what it was about. But actually, it made me want to be a band director. And how strange when you're in class and the teacher says, "Okay, what do you want to be?" And everybody wants to be a doctor or a nurse, and I want to be a band director. So, and it never changed. So all the way through from 5 on, that's what I wanted to do. I got into music though. I played accordion. I don't tell many people that, but I was I was an accordion player I started that at 5. So, so I've been in music most of my life.
Was there a Mr. Ashby in your life? I know so many people that my contemporaries that you were influential and important to us. What did you have a Mr. Ashby?
Oh, I certainly did. His name was Mr. Dean Dowdy, and he was a wonderful teacher. And I strive to be like him. He was. I still, when I was teaching, I would use some of his phrases that he used with us. But yeah, he was a wonderful man and a outstanding teacher. So yeah, I wanted to be like him.
After Grayson County, you had different stops along the way, and old band directors never retire, they just consult, I guess, right? So
That's right. Yep.
summarize your career from Grayson County forward.
Okay. Well, first of all, I didn't want to leave Grayson County, but financially, I was living in a trailer. I lived in that trailer for 16 years, and it was time to buy a house, but I was spending all my money on gas. So the job came open, and I decided to take the Warren Central job. I told the kids on a Thursday night practice at Grayson County, and I knew it was going to be hard. I had no idea it was going to be that hard. I actually had to have somebody drive me home because I bawled the whole way. I knew, no, I wasn't ready to leave, but I also wanted a house.
Sure.
So yeah, I went to Warren Central and I was there for 5 years, and then I ended my career at Franklin Simpson High School. I was there 9 years.
From your tone, you almost sound like you still didn't want to leave Grayson County.
Oh no, no, no. That's when I talk about band, and I do a lot of mentoring for the young, young directors and stuff. And um, yeah, those are the stories I tell. Those are absolutely the stories I tell. As a matter of fact, Aaron Bell, I mentored him, and he had heard all these Grayson County stories that I told, and so, and then I mean, he called one day and said he thought he was. We had teased about it, but he called and he said, I think I'm going to go for that Grayson County job. And we both laughed. And then he said, no, I'm serious. But he had heard all of the stories, and they're doing. He and Ashley are doing, and Travis, they're all doing a fantastic job. I'm so proud of what they're doing.
What was the consolidation process like for the band program? What maybe challenges existed? You were coming from Caneyville, but trying to unify everyone. What were some of the challenges?
It's really hard, Mark. It was at the beginning. Well, yeah, I mean, you had three different entities and they were rivals. I mean, and when I was chosen the band director, 2/3 of the people had rather had their band director. You know what I'm saying? It was a hard choice. Um, thank goodness for me that they did pick that, but um, it was really hard. I remember we started band camp before school opened. We had to have band camp at the old Litchfield High School, which is now the middle school, as you know. But so we had it was, when we would break, they worked together pretty well. But then when we would break, you would see the Caneyville and Clarkson and Litchfield people all gather in their little respective groups. And I hated that, but they did work well together. And so I remember we the band brought in home the first trophy from the school, and I'm really proud of that because I think that really helped combine everything. We were at a marching contest, and I always tell these young band directors, this is like one of the band. You've got your band director memories, and this is one of them where we performed first time out wearing our white pants and in dark blue t-shirts with orange letters on them because we hadn't gotten their uniforms yet, and we won first place. And I I remember looking down on the field, and though all of a sudden all of those groups in their little colors, the red and all those colors were hugging each other. And so I knew right then that everything was going to be good. But yeah, it was a challenge. The high school wasn't, the band room wasn't done yet. So we either had to practice outside. I drove the secretaries crazy, and because when it rained, we would go to the commons area, or not the commons area, the lobby. So you had this big old band playing, and we're doing marching band music, and they're trying to work in the office. So I think that may help them get along with that a little faster, getting the band room done. But I mean, yeah, it was like we had a one light fixture hanging down in the band room. It wasn't done at all. In the pep rallies, the band, I guess I'm sure the gym wasn't finished yet either at the beginning, because I remember having pep rallies and the band would get on the stage in the commons area, and out in the lobby, the cheerleaders and the rest of the all the school would be out there. So we would try to communicate back and forth. It was weird. But they were all, I mean, all great memories. So, Mark, I mean, absolutely great. I wouldn't take anything for those memories.
I
But
was
yeah,
gonna
wasn't
I,
easy.
I was gonna ask you about your fondest memories, but it sounds like we'll be here until next week if we do that.
Oh yeah, yeah, way too many,
I
way
want
too
to
many.
ask you about the first trip to New York City and what that was like for the Macy's parade. As a young
Well,
child, go ahead.
yeah, that we didn't really go. We didn't get to go to the Macy's.
You did not. Okay.
No,
So
no,
did
no.
you
We
did
were
you go to
asked
another
to.
big trip?
Well, we went to New Orleans.
Good.
I went to New Orleans twice. We would go to in Florida. We marched in Disney's. I think it was his 50th birthday party. I don't remember for sure, but yeah, we led the parade in there, and then we marched two times at the Mardi Gras. Macy's they had asked, and we made the top 25, but they looked for really really huge bands, and we were big, but we weren't that big.
Sure. Now, we talk a lot about marching band, but you had some amazing pep bands. You had great
Oh,
jazz bands. I thought as a young child, any band that had their own record had to be the biggest band in the world. Do you remember the Afterglow Project?
oh, I've got it. Yeah, I still listen to it. Yeah,
Would you
I
share a copy of that with me sometime?
I will. I've actually got it made into a CD, so that
I
makes
would
it
love to hear
easier.
it.
Yeah, I keep it in my
Absolutely.
car. I don't have a CD player here, so and sometimes when somebody rides with me, they got to listen to it too, the entire thing. So yeah, I've got it in my car, and I play quite often. I'm really proud of that.
What are some of the lost traditions that you wish could return? I was talking with Mayor Harold Miller a few weeks ago, and he reminded
Uh,
me that there used to be a parade the day of when you would go to a show contest in the evening or the afternoon. There would be a parade of all the bands to help drum up people to come out to the show. Is that a tradition you miss?
uh, no band director really likes the parades, honestly.
Well,
In a way, I do because you spent the whole day with the kids. Yeah, but it was really tiring to do a parade and then that night do a field show as well, and that's why I think they did away with that. I would still do them, but the whole part of the parade was for the merchants. They would they would donate trophies and help with the contest. So there was a parade that went along with that, and you got awards just for that as well. But more and more band directors didn't want to do that, so it just became a lost art.
do you wish there was still cadence on the field and cadence off the
Yes,
field?
I do. I really do, and that's a personal thing. But I understand why they're not anymore because of the time limits, and you can't. I mean, we've gotten so competitive that a lot of times the fun goes out, and I think that the dignity and the pride of doing that, we would get to a contest, and I know this is probably it would be unheard of today, but we would get there a little early, and we would march around the track in front of the crowd just to fire up us.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just was a pride thing, and those heads would be held high. And it's, of course, and again, you can't really do that anymore. But those are some of the things that I do miss. But the cadences, I think that just really fired you up. You know, that
You cannot not get fired up from a good drum cadence. It's
that's
just
exactly right.
impossible not to do it. Are you amazed from the early 70s where the drill was, I won't call it simple, but the drill was the main thing. The playing, obviously, maybe secondary, primary, whatever order you want to put those in. But are you amazed at how shows have the technological development, the use of LED lighting? Are you amazed of where we've gotten to?
Absolutely, and it comes from drum and bugle corps. I know where it came, how it came about, but yeah, it's pretty amazing. And what you were talking about drill, we didn't march backwards back then. You didn't have to, you know, you but nowadays they march. I mean, they every which way. So it is, yeah, it's a lot more technical, and the demand is a lot more. Um, well, and musically, it's well. I mean, we never had all. We had flags and majorettes, but we didn't have all the props, and it's gotten to be so money consuming. With that, it's just. But anyway, they're very enjoyable, but it's totally different than it used to be.
The legacy of Grayson County High School Band is one of excellence, and maybe other than a few exceptions. I think that's due to the DNA in its creation, the seeds that you helped plant. I know you spoke very highly of Aaron and Ashley and the phenomenal job they're doing, the job that
Absolutely.
Travis is doing as well. When you
Right.
look back on the body of work for 50 years, I can tell it in your voice. It's a sense of pride for you.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely it is. Uh, and that's kind of what we went for at the start. Is I wanted to make sure that there was dignity and pride, and those things to me came first, and then the playing, and the marching. But if you get them to feel good about themselves, the self-esteem and the pride, then the rest will fall into shape. And I think that's what's happened. And and I always said this, and I don't know why, but even Caneyville, it's just like Grayson County was carved out, and it's a different kind of kid. And you know, when I left, I thought, well, all kids are the same. Not true, not true. I mean, and I was happy at the other places, but there was something, and still is, something about a Grayson County kid. They're raised differently. There was a respect. Um, yeah, I'm not saying that they all just were perfect. You mentioned Harold Miller, so but anyway, um, no,
Well,
I think I love Harold Miller. He's awesome.
speaking of the kids, as an employer, it typically comes up pretty quick in an interview, your high school years, your college years, and I am typically fishing for someone who was involved in band or in music, because I have found over the years that people who were in band, they were part of a team, a group, but could perform, understood how to read a different language called music, a sense of pride, an esprit de corps, the things that band teaches a young person, in my opinion, makes them extremely more likely to be successful and a great colleague and a great employee.
You're exactly what I think you're exactly right, and that's the whole thing. I think my philosophy was to take music and use it as a tool to make people successful and to feel better about themselves. And I mean, not that I didn't want to play music, not that, but I thought the main thing was I wanted them to feel good about themselves and have those memories that I have. So yeah, but I wouldn't take anything. I would, if I was a young man, I'd go back and do it all again. Yeah.
Whether it's Bill Belichick or Nick Saban or name any successful coach in any sport, they are known for their coaching tree. And you have mentioned the mentoring of Aaron and other people that you have mentioned, but talk a little bit about your sense of pride that you have for the coaching tree, if you will, that you've created, and the large network of professionals that have come alongside you and helped educate future musicians.
Well, and I'm very proud of this. Um, at one point, and I don't know, I haven't checked lately, but at one point there were 22. I had 22 active band directors. Um, some of them were like Greg Lyons on the music store, but they were involved. 22 of them were involved, and those are my students. They weren't the ones that I've mentored. Those are the ones that actually went through the program. Not all of those went through Grayson County, but a good portion of them did.
One last question that I want to know about is, you come home to Grayson County a lot. I won't call it annually. You've been here recently, I know, for the pep rally for Mr. McGee. I know you're here on other occasions. You're typically here for the Twin Lakes Marching Classic. But then you also, your bands have a tendency to get together and reunite. And whether they were in one of your first bands or your last bands, there's a through line among all of them. And you are honored to be invited home to fellowship with them and just become a little bit nostalgic. Do you get invited other places to do the same, or are we a little different in that category?
Different. Yeah. The other places say we need to do this, we're going to do this. Grayson County does it, and I mean, after 50 years, that is very humbling to me, that they would even want to spend time with an old guy like me. But anyway, it's very, very humbling, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think there's been 3 reunions, so they call them band reunions. So, but yeah, I love them. I eat them up because there's so many memories. I just can't explain enough how much Grayson County has meant to me. I mean, it is. I would have, if I'd have made that other decision and gone to Owensboro, my life would have totally been different for sure.
We're glad you didn't.
Me too.
Look for our extended interview on YouTube and enjoy our conversation with Mr. Phil Ashby. Mr. Ashby, thank you so much for the time, and I hope to catch up with you again really soon.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Stay tuned for more Cougar football here on K105.